So this is the 0020 hours GMT edition of the Kudila television channel being broadcast on the internet, not on satellite, not on terrestrial, not on cable networks. This is the Baby Angel Geronimo world exclusive, the bestest witness in the whole world, Baby Angel Geronimo editions. The Kudila television channel, part A. 0020 hours GMT, Monday, the 14th of November 2022. This is Muhammad Haq, and we are going to update on the issues that we have been following over the last 24 hours. And the first thing that we have to say is about the lies that Lutfur Rahman lied to me on Friday, the 29th of October 2010, on the record. And that lie is now, how old is it? 11 years old. Dan Lutheran lied to me on the 15th of February 2011. It's 11. And that is also 11 years old lies. Lutheran lied on the 6th of May 2010. When he said that he had already told the Labour Group on Arms Council that he was in support of the elected mayor system. He then said that to me, but he never really told the truth about his manipulations. He did not tell the colleagues on the Labour Group that he was betraying the collective interests by secretly liaising with anti-Labour Party interests in Tower Hamlets. So what he told me was another lie, and when in June 2010, one date in June 2010 had two events, one held in the London Muslim Centre, Whitechapel Road, and one held in the Toynbee Hall in Commercial Street. The one in the Commercial Street was held to promote the cause of Abbas Uddin Elias Halal. And that was done on the banner of a village in the Balagonj Thana in Silot in Bangladesh, where Abbas Uddin Elias Halal comes from. That was the most extraordinarily stupid banner. How could anyone think that a democratic, within quotation marks, of course, that means that the democratic doesn't actually meet 100% requirements of objectively defined democracy. Still, it is democratic. The democratic process being carried out in Tower Hamlets, 5,000-6,000 miles away from Balagonj in Silot, could be influenced by people in Balagonj. How could that be? In any case, those people who were from Balagonj in Silot in Bangladesh, but were expected to be present at the Toynbee Hall do in order to give the appearance of approval and support to the candidature of Abbasuddin Elias Hilal for the corrupting post of the mayor at the expense of the people of Tower Hamlets. They could not do that in honesty. Yet they were there. Because they were there, although originally from Balagonj, most of these people didn't have any affiliations or allegiance to the state of Bangladesh. Because these were people proudly carrying the passport identity of, quote, British. At the expression of British, they would melt in the mouth. So what were they being kind of corralled into the Toynbee Hall for? It was just to put on a show for the benefit of Abbasuddin Elias Hilal, who was in utter and complete denial of the truth and the reality. And the truth and the reality was that he, Abbasuddin Elias Hilal, lacked the necessary honesty, the necessary integrity, the necessary competence, and above all, the necessary connection with the day-to-day ordinary people from Silot, including from Balagonj area, one of the villages. Now, as I have said in previous posts, about 50 persons were called to speak. Now, 50 persons being called to speak, and all of them were supposed to be endorsing the candidature of Abbasuddin Elias Hilal. What on earth could they say in endorsing him? Because Abbasuddin was a recorded bankrupt who had failed to properly run a business of a sari shop in Brick Lane. And Abbasuddin Elias Hilal had lied during the months in 2010 when the Labour Party councillors group, as I have said, in their defense, by giving them credit when they actually didn't deserve the credit, but in my view, objectively, they deserved the credit because they were at least publicly saying that they were against the mayor system. Whereas the leader of that group on Tower Hamlets Council at that time, being Lutfur Rahman, was betraying and kind of lying about the various manipulative roles he was playing, abusing his position as the leader of the group and abusing the confidence of the majority of the people in Tower Hamlets that he would be doing the right thing and be telling the truth and be honest. Abbasuddin Elias Hilal, during the campaign months against the elected mayor system campaign, on the surface said that he was against the mayor system. But as he is being adopted, mayor candidate for Tower Hamlets, as the Labour Party showed, Abbasuddin Elias was lying all along. And there is a picture on the internet. You can access this on the twitter.com/Khudilar. Spelling is KHOOD for David, L for Lima, AAR. The Khudilar, you can spell in either with an exclamation mark at the end of the Khudilar, or you can spell it without an exclamation mark, depending on the operation of the internet and the browsing system. So the Khudilar campaign published along with the Bangilar program, which I created, the movement against the mayor system, No to Mayor. And we remain committed against this corrupt, brazen, criminal outfit, the office of the elected mayor. So Abbasuddin alias Halal is pictured by myself in Bethnal Green Road, no, Cambridge Road, where he is set with a novice boy called Kahar Chaudhry, who became a councillor for Lansbury Ward for 2018 to 2022. And the significance of that picture was that they were holding this banner that I had written, Bangilar, meaning the campaign, the movement against the mayor system in Tower Hamlets or anywhere else for that matter. I devised this word Bangilar and politicized it, weaponized it, Bangilar. That boy Kahar Chaudhry became a complete and absolute disgrace, shameless, as soon as he became councillor. That shameless, ingrate, idiot boy stopped communication with the Khudilar campaign. He shall not pass, that liar boy, Kahar Chaudhry. He shall not pass. Stupid criminal boy. He's a soul cheater. He will not get anywhere with this corrupt, licensed law trading pretension. That boy is a disgrace, he's a dishonest, ungrateful, ingrate. And he's not the only one, but he is the worst one among that lot that got in for the first time in 2018 as councillors. Tower Hamlets Labour Party apparently lost to the so-called Aspire Party, the name that they stole from the email address. The email address that I created, aspire.educate. Now that Aspire was a completely criminal aspiration by the gang that is with Luthuraman. They got marginally 1 or 2 or 3 more council seats than the Tower Hamlets Labour Party group got. Essentially, these are bribed candidates, with the probable exception of a son of Kalam Chaudhry. Every single one that became a candidate for the Aspire Party, so-called, had to buy their candidacy by bribing Luther Roman in an open scam of bribery. We shall be putting questions to the Electoral Commission, and we shall be making as much of this as possible. Lutfer Rahman should not have been allowed to take part in the election even after the expire of the 5 years, as we have said, because Lutfer Rahman is still guilty of serial crimes he committed while he was in post as the so-called incumbent mayor in the name of Tower Hamlets. And we have got questions for the police authority, and we've got questions for other so-called law enforcers. Lutfer Rahman committed crimes, as did his handlers. To coin a phrase that was used by Abbasuddin Alias Halal in his so-called dossier against Lutfer Rahman, submitted by Abbasuddin Alias Halal to the then Labour Party NEC, National Executive Council. Lutfer Rahman had been brainwashed by his handlers at the East London Mosque. That is what he said. Whether it was the brainwashing done by the Islamic Forum Europe, or he was brainwashed by a combined assault on his brains by the various unnamed operatives operating from the complex called the East London Mosque and the Muslim Center. The actual wider name should be London Muslim Center. London Muslim Center may sound like Muslim Center for the benefit of Muslims generally, but that is not the case. We shall be looking at the London Muslim Center being engaged in clearly systematic anti-Muslim activities in the next relevant edition. The same case with the East London Mosque. Apparently, it has got a committee, and the committee is supposed to be representative of the people of Tower Hamlets. The reality is that in the committee there is a place which, even if not taken by the person that it is left vacant for, and that is the son. That is the son of the kind of late leader of the Labour Party. We shall come to that in a short while. How did Tony Banks, in other words, known as Viscount Stansgate, how did he pull so many lies and lying cover-ups against the Labour Party is in itself a scandal. So we shall come to that in a minute, because there have been too many items that need to be addressed elsewhere. Now, the question of Lutfer Rahman being as dishonest as Abbas Uddin Alias Halal, it is an open secret that both of them are liars. Coincidentally, the both of them are originally from the When during the campaign against the mayor system, during March, I think 2010, there was a so-called campaign meeting held at the Brady Center. And Abbasuddin Halal always wanted to keep himself in control of that so that his lying could not be exposed and he could get both kind of side the credit for being against the mayor system, which is the cover up that he maintained by doing the things that I'm about to rail protest, as well as protesters against other bad conservative things. And so one of the speakers at that March 2010 so-called anti-mayor campaign meeting was the notorious racist, absolutely notorious racist, Peter Golds. Now, Peter Golds remains the festering sole conservative councillor on the Tower Hamlets Council as I speak. But Peter Golds should not be there at all because he is not a respecter of ordinary community. He is a contemptuous racist with hatred coming out of his various whatever. Now, this liar was given the space to apparently speak against the mayor system. And the reason why this next speaker, after Peter Golds was given the chance, was because the next speaker had a kind of academic qualification, etc., etc., etc. But going back to Peter Golds, now Peter Golds, and I pictured him as he was spieling. Peter Golds said that mayor system was dictatorship, etc., etc. Now, Peter Golds is not a photographer, whereas I have been a photographer for decades. So this criminal, racist liar and moron had the audacity in August 2015 to accuse me of taking pictures within the council chamber from a different angle than actually was the case, because he could not possibly tell from where he was sitting whatever angle that I was using, the moron. So what I'm saying in this particular segment of this particular broadcast about Tower Hamlets is that although Tower Hamlets in context is referred to by people who are not Bangladeshi themselves, but as a Bangladeshi majority demography in the Bara as a whole, the people in the Bangladeshi community do not necessarily behave ethically, morally, or with solidarity with one another. That is the biggest piece of evidence about this community, that individual members of which act as parasites, secretly craving every single opportunity that I create by my campaigns. And I am forever campaigning. These are individual ingrates and liars. Because when Lutfur Rahman was so-called leader of the Tower Hamlets Council Labour Group, So when Peter Golds actually spoke, he gave a spiel that appeared to be against the mayor system, but nobody in the community, in the Brady Center present, challenged him or queried what he was doing. But that was not the worst part of the display. Lutfur Rahman was not present, but Lutfur Rahman's kind of agenda was being supported by his so-called kind of opponent, Abbasuddin Ali Salal. Abbasuddin Ali Salal secretly decided to fuck up that whole meeting, although remaining quite clearly, apparently, dedicated to the cause of opposing the mayor system. So apart from himself, Lutfur Rahman decided there would be three other people who are pakka, that is all real mental slaves and liars. So he gave 1, 2, 3, 4, all, including himself, few minutes each to chair the meeting. Have you ever heard, ever in your whole life, heard or come across a real event being messed up like that? Why wasn't one single chair enough? And the answer is because if they Abbasuddin Hilal meant for that meeting to be fucked up so that no concrete political action resolution would be reached or passed at the meeting. Now, I have been campaigning since before Abismal, Abbasuddin Ali Salal, was biologically born. And Abismal himself knows that whenever I was born, I am and have been exclusively, singularly most effective opponent of racists, and especially of racists disguised as Labour Party members. So having known about all of that, the fact that Abbasuddin Ali Salal left me until the very end of the so-called meeting showed that he didn't want me to influence the people at the meeting by giving me the spot at the beginning. And the other thing is that nobody else spoke the facts constitutionally, procedurally, environmentally, in every sense of having an elected mayor. I was the only one that would speak with informed knowledge and awareness and commitment and practicalities. Now, Abbasuddin Ali Salal fucked up that meeting as he had fucked up the other previous meetings as well. By the time I came to speak, most of the people had gone, bored stiff by all the spielers that Abbasuddin Elias manipulated to appear before me. And every single one of them lacked the actual information, the knowledge, the conviction, the passion. So Abbasuddin Elias Halal is, of course, on the record, notorious record, on the record of the private lie, that Rottenborough special edition, which contains the reference to his being called Candidate A. What on earth was the Candidate A being called a Candidate A? I shall come to that Candidate A and the halal dead meat issue of the private lie Roshan Bara's column shortly. When there was a mural in the Hanbury Street put up by some people about merchants who the lobby that operates under the name of the lobby that operates in the name of the Jewish community said that it was an anti-Jewish, anti-Semitic mural because it had a figurative kind of collection of people that looked like Jews. As the Spectator's timing, publication timing has changed, I wonder. I'll come to that in due course. But so that meeting was fucked up, and Abbasuddin Elias Hilal fucked up the other meetings. I received a clear item of evidence during the so-called campaign. When I attempted to extract information from Rachel Saunders, the way that Abbasuddin Elias Hilal or anybody else answered that question showed them up. Because I had said to them, these two boys, over at the London Muslim Center, where the handlers of Lutfur Rahman were celebrating his being handled into becoming the main candidate effectively for the post of mayor. I attempted to take a picture from in front of the space where Lutfur Rahman was speaking. And unknown to me, I was pushed from behind by an individual who disrupted my taking the picture and completely disrupted the whole thing that I was trying to do. So I went to Lutfur Rahman and filed a complaint with him. Of course, I shall be talking about that and other events. So when I was pushed from behind, I didn't see who had pushed me, but it was one of the thugs hired by the thugs who control the London Muslim Center. The only person other than Lutfur Rahman that I recognized at the event was a former councillor, now former councillor, called Abjol Mia. So I went to where Abjol Mia was sitting and I told him what had happened. Now that was June 2010. The incident happened. And today is the 14th of November 2022. 12 years and few months later, Afzal Miah has not come back to me with the answers that he owed me. I asked him several questions as to who they were and why hadn't he stood up and intervened and stopped that thug boy. And there are other questions that I shall be updating on in due course. Nor did Lutfur Rahman. Now, Lutfur Rahman's behavior on that occasion was that of a dummy, because I spoke to him after he had finished his spiel. And Lutfur Rahman looked completely blank, devoid of any contents, any things to say. Now, the London Muslim Center is part of the three member or three unit operation. One is the East London Mosque Management Committee and the platform, not the actual prayers side of the mosque, but the bureaucratic side of the East London Mosque. And the other is the ubiquitous but uncatchable, what used to be called the Islamic Forum Europe. Apparently, it's called something else now. And of course, those who control the access to the East London Mosque or London Muslim Center. Now, who controls all of them? What agenda do they actually serve? And why is it that Afzal Miah, I physically touched his left arm to show how I was touched on my left arm by the thug boy. Afzal Miah neither said anything nor did he apologize. Now, another occasion I was trying to take pictures outside of the East London Mosque, the building, where there was a do being staged in front of the mosque, where several people, including Glenn Robbins, spoke. I refer to Glenn Robbins as being the token white that the criminals controlling the thuggish control of the so-called Islamic complex use. They use like a woman called Jenny Boswell Jones. Jenny Boswell Jones and Lil Collins and another racist white woman, all three of them kind of white women connected with the Labour Party in Tower Hamlets at various stages. But they never were and they never will be reliable, either as so-called endorsers of the elected mayor post or anything else. Jenny Boswell Jones featured in many kind of propaganda YouTubes put together by elements of Lutfur Rahman's campaign for elected mayor post. Jenny Boswell Jones is considered to be, apparently, a conscientious member of the Labour Party. She may have that profile or that kind of presence on the internet, but she is not consistent with any of it. But her usefulness, as well as the usefulness of Lil Collins, and another one, these women have been used to prop up the image of Lutfur Rahman as somebody that represents the multi-racial and multi-ethnic kind of side of the community population. But Lutfur Rahman does not do that. All the candidates, except probably one, at the bribed election for the mayor post, was going to disrupt the proceedings. So we should be continuing until the operation becomes impossible because of the rain. And what happened outside when Glenn Robbins was there as well? I was again pushed from behind by a thug boy who then moved away, thus making it impossible for me to ask him what on earth was he doing interrupting me when I was taking the picture. But he obviously was one of the thugs under orders to obstruct my work. Now, there was this dog taking part in Luther's operation in 2006 to 2006. I mean, let's say 2006 January. If that was the case, 2006 January, then whoever witnessed this apart from myself still owes a duty to pursue this criminal and to get an answer from the criminal as to why the criminal was physically surprising me and trying to interfere with my work of recording the event. It is highly likely, and it is considered the real known, that the controllers, all of the criminals who are controllers of the Eastern Mosque Committee, these controllers are and Glenn Robbins. I went to Glenn Robbins after the thug had pushed me, and I said, "Why did you come here? And why are you speaking when this is a completely corrupt shebang?" And Glenn Robbins, who has never questioned, and he could never question my knowledge of my community, didn't question me. And he kind of mildly apologized for being there. Essentially, what I'm saying is that every single one of the white left outlet that has kind of congratulated Lutfur Rahman's so-called return to power in Tower Hamlets has done so based on idiocy, ignorance, and stupidity. I single out this stupid bunch of morons called Novara Media. Fuck the lot of them. The shit outfit Navara Media is a completely corrupt outfit, is not entitled on the evidence to make any claims that it is about democracy, about accountability, about solidarity against racism, or for transparency in society. Who funds them? Who funds these creeps? Because they have the mentality of a bourgeois secret society and club. The only person who took any notice of them was, of course, the liar Roxana Fias, who responded to a kind of interruption by them and this completely embarrassing Politico on The Guardian, this boy Jones. When a Lewisham racist, an anti-Muslim, was found to be among the advisors of Roxana Fias, and Roxana Fias immediately sacked or terminated that contract. But she did not terminate her devotion to this racist anti-Muslim criminal. Apart from that, Navara Media has not broken a story at all, and it has not shown that it is any better than any of the other racist so-called left platforms, or that it is better than the racist right-wing platform called Spiked. So I shall wait for the comprehensive response by all of these that I have diagnosed and detailed in this particular edition. And then once they do that, if they do that, I shall follow up. Because they shall not pass these liars. They have not got the evidence on which they can stand and then pass. They can't. And strictly on the evidence, these criminals will not be allowed to pose as any different from the criminals that are self-confessed racists and liars. Over to Pakistan and what the long march and the demand for the general election to be held in Pakistan. What are they saying there in today's latest news? Let's see what they're saying on the published outlets. Well, they're leading the thing with the Pakistan cricket. And they Indian Express is celebrating the 1992 World Cup triumph by Pakistan under Imran Khan's leadership. Let's look at the detail of that piece. As the Indian Express is saying this is a very rare piece. Pakistan's 1992 World Cup triumph. How Imran Khan got in ill inzamam to play. Why a sulking Miandad was flown into Australia. A talk which sparred the cornered Tigers. So that was something that we shall be able to talk about another time, probably. And they're saying, another item is saying about Imran Khan making overtures to build bridges with Washington. So there is nothing really significant, spectacular in today's roundup, except to say that the mainly so-called self-styled liberal outlets in Washington, D.C., New York, and London, they remain reluctant to report the truth that is happening. Truth of what is happening in Pakistan for 75 years, for the first time in 75 years. In terms of street action and in terms of street credibility, these rallies or jalsas that Imran Khan's Tehreek-e-Insaf party has organized, these are solid stones of the building for democracy and solid country in Pakistan. I shall be updating on my commentaries on Pakistan and the movement for the true independence that is ongoing now. And the biggest the view about the Long March is that when the people are showing genuine understanding of the historic move that Imran Khan has initiated about the Hakiki Azadi, in my view, and I'm viewing this from thousands of miles away, and my only source is the published original information on little Facebook accounts or other accounts that are run by people sympathetic with the movement that is currently on. My view is that this is the kind of event overall, the whole thing taking into account the jalsas and now the Long March and the demand for the full and fair election in April 2022. That this is an unprecedented event altogether. This is absolutely laudable so far, and this is something that should be encouraged, supported by the Western media and all supporters of democracy, because it is that significant. And I shall be coming back with due updates on other aspects of the events in the news. This one, we shall be ending this one just under 1 hour. I think we shall be ending this one just after 1 hour. This one is 56 minutes. So just under 1 hour.